WSOU 89.5 FM. I'm Valentino, and I'm joined today with Chris from Hot Mulligan. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain. Feeling good. So, diving right into it. Obviously, your new EP, I Won't Reach Out to You, available now. How are you feeling?
I feel good. The reception's been overwhelmingly positive. Wasn't really expecting that from an EP just because it's like a shorter collection of songs. So all the positive feedback's been great.
Definitely. And it's also like, I bet it's harder to like write a smaller collection of songs and make it as captivating. Because with a full length album, you have a ton of room to like experiment with all the ideas you want to experiment with. Whereas with an EP, that's a shorter window.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be like easier to get that done in an EP, just with the way that we write, because we normally do most of the writing for a project in one session. So I feel like if you only have so many ideas at the time, it's harder to make an album captivating instead of an EP, because maybe on an album you end up having to recycle an idea or a concept a couple times.
And what do you do when you're in that rut of songwriting and you're like not at a, you have that like songwriting, you're stuck, you know?
Well, if it's just like me by myself, I just stop. Because if I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it. But normally when we get together to write, it's been like so long since we last wrote that we don't really run into that, other than like, okay, we've been going at it for like 4 hours now. Like we'll take breaks and stuff if we like run into walls, but we never really gotten together and just been like, all right, we got nothing.
No, exactly. Obviously, this new EP, you had a full length record last year. You'll Be Fine. Did you always want to kind of write an EP after that record, or was just like the pandemic, like, okay, well, we'll start writing songs and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was just the pandemic. I mean, we thought we were going to be hitting the road consistently for like 2 years as soon as You'll Be Fine came out. And then obviously that didn't happen. And we spent months not seeing each other because, in the beginning of the lockdown, it was like, don't even see your friends, like not even 6 feet apart. So we're like, oh man, we really gotta, like, bye guys, I guess. And then when it seemed safe to like get together in a small group, we're like, well, we don't have anything to practice for. We might as well write some more songs, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an interesting point you brought up where, it's the pandemic. It's been very, very strict. You can't even see each other for a long period of time. You've Hot Mulligan has had a very like slow progression of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But with this new album that came out in 2020, You'll Be Fine, exploded. You tripled your Spotify listens. Your album sales doubled. Explain to me about what that was like watching the band grow from the pandemic side.
I mean, it was tricky because normally, like, you can see numbers grow on the internet, and I don't know, that happens for a lot of bands. There are a lot of artists who their Spotify numbers are huge, but then they go on tour, and even though their numbers on the internet are like bigger than ours or bigger than some other bands, they're not selling as many tickets. So, I mean, really, it was kind of easy to look at that and just not think it was as big as it was at the time.
Mm.
But now with like the announcement of this recent tour and selling out shows already so fast, like the on sale was so much bigger than it was when we announced the You'll Be Fine tour last year. It's like, it feels too good to be true.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And you're right about, you can see like Spotify numbers grow, but like when you're playing live shows, you see the crowd grow, and that's a very different experience.
Right.
So when you go back to these shows, you got a tour in the fall with Prince Daddy and the Hyena. Very, very exciting all throughout November, December. That's going to be kind of cool because you guys went from a decently sized crowd to a huge crowd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully it just keeps getting bigger, but yeah, upgrading a lot of venues to play bigger ones. So that's really cool because I think when we announced the tour last year, I wasn't even sure if some of the venues that we were going to play were gonna sell out, and now we're selling out bigger ones.
That's such a cool feeling. And obviously, speaking of shows, you guys played that drive-in show in October. That's got to be weird, especially from an artist perspective who's played a ton of shows. How was that?
It was honestly a lot of fun. We played that with Knuckle Puck in, I think it was Bridgeview, Illinois. Um, Love Knuckle Puck, so it was like good to see them again because we hadn't played a show with them in like 2 years, besides maybe a festival. And uh, it was weird. It was kind of like I can't even explain it, but it felt a lot like rehearsal um with cars looking at you. Yeah, but I mean, the stage was larger than what we had normally
Mhm.
played on prior to that. So, I mean, it was a cool experience, and we're like stoked to be one of the bands who, like, years from now can say, like, we got to play a show during the pandemic with this unique drive-in experience. And not everyone gets to say that. So, we were just stoked for the opportunity.
Yeah, and also, like, I can imagine it's a little bit almost more intimidating in the sense that when you're playing a live show, you feed off that crowd's energy. When the crowd is like clapping and going crazy, you also go crazy. It's like this circle of energy. Whereas with drive-in shows, the honks just sound very aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, we hadn't played together in so long either. So even though there wasn't like a crowd to keep us energized, we were just energized to be playing songs together again. So yeah, I really didn't think twice about it.
Yeah, and it's like at that point, where the fans are so starved for concerts, you guys are starved to like have shows back again. It's nice to just play in any capacity you could at the time.
Right.
And I know that a lot of fans are already very excited about shows returning. I saw my very first in-person concert with no masks or social distancing. It was Knuckle Puck, ironically, last weekend. But I think that when shows return, it's gonna be chaos. The fans are gonna go harder than they've ever went. The performances are gonna be absolutely stellar.
Yeah. And I'm looking like, I don't think when shows come back or like people are touring this fall or as soon as they're touring, I was worried for a bit, like, what's it going to look like? Are there going to be these guidelines? Are things just going to be like weird and awkward? But I'm now thinking that it's just going to be like nuts, you know?
Yeah, exactly, and I think that just the fact that they're, like, opening everything else and obviously we knew from the start that the entertainment industry was gonna open last, but, just to finally have it back again, I know we had a semblance of it for, like, the last maybe 3, 4, 5 months, but now it's coming back in full swing, thank God.
Yeah.
When you play, "You'll Be Fine" live, I do have to ask because obviously that record is a year old now, but also I'm sure you wrote it more than a year ago. Is it gonna be weird, kind of like and almost nostalgic playing those songs because you haven't really touched them in a long time?
Yeah. I'm not sure like how it's going to feel. Um, I mean, honestly, we haven't even performed most of them like all the way through as a band. Besides a couple of them that we played on tour or like at the Knuckle Puck show once the album was out, that drive-in show. So I don't know if it's gonna feel nostalgic, but it's gonna be it'll be refreshing, that's for sure. We did get together a couple months ago and practice and filmed filmed some performance thing, like a live performance thing, and it felt good to play those songs. And I would say like the songs prior to "You'll Be Fine" felt like nostalgic to play, just because we were so used to playing them in front of crowds and like the way crowds would react to them.
That makes sense, and I think that I never even thought about it from that mindset or perspective, but you're right, you've had these memories playing songs, from Pilot, from Opportunities, and you don't have the memories of playing a lot of You'll Be Fine live or obviously the new one, I Won't Reach Out to You.
Right, right. So yeah, those it doesn't feel quite nostalgic yet because we haven't done it. So I don't know. There's nothing really to feel about it quite yet, other than just like we're practicing.
Now, I have to ask, as obviously, you know, a radio DJ, but also as a fan of Hot Mulligan, when shows return, We're Gonna Make It to Kilby is obviously my favorite, I think, off the record. Can we expect that song to make an appearance on the set?
I would at least select dates. I don't want to. I think like someone ran with this when I on another interview I did where I talked to the band about uh playing the album in full. I don't know if we're gonna do it. We obviously want to get together and see how it goes for us running it a few times in that capacity, but that's something I definitely love to do. But if not, Kilby is also one of my favorites on the album, so I definitely see it making its way into the set list.
Good stuff, good stuff. And I'm sure it's got to be tough, like, because I know a lot of bands are in that position as well. Like, you look at bands like Creeper and Boston Manor, who have released an album right at the beginning of the pandemic, but then also released kind of like new music towards the end of this pandemic. So when you're touring again, do you promote the new album or the new EP or songs that you guys are doing? It's kind of, you have to find that balance, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. For us, we like had our flyers like a mashup of "You'll Be Fine" and "I Won't Reach Out to You's" artwork. Because we want to keep it all together. I don't know. Like you said, I felt like the growth was so much bigger once we put "You'll Be Fine" out compared to how fast we grew previously. So we obviously want to like give that the attention it deserves. And the EP was kind of supplementary because like I don't know, I don't want to just sit around and not do anything just because, oh well, we couldn't tour on our album, so I guess we'll just wait 2 years and then do another one.
Yep, yep. And it's also like EPs are a nice like taste in music in the sense that with a record you really really have to worry about like that cohesion, making every song like, okay, does this flow into the next, is this unique, how do I do this? EP is just like a fun, 5 songs, boom. I know you look at Losing Days is one of my favorites off the EP, and it's 1 minute and 29 seconds. It's just like it's a
Yeah,
fun taste of it.
right.
So I did notice that as well when you did the tour poster. It was like a mix of "You'll Be Fine" and "I Won't Reach Out to You." How do you think the EP "I Won't Reach Out to You" songs are going to translate live?
I think they'll be a blast. I don't know that we'll play all of them. Like I don't really see us fitting one for the boy in there. Just there's not a lot going on. It's like it's an intro track. It's meant to be enjoyed in the medium that it is. I don't think it's really something that gets performed. I think maybe a song like Pop Shove It won't have the same energy as some other songs in our set just because it's not there's not really screaming or distorted vocals in it. It's not punk song than a lot of our other songs. So I'm interested to see how that plays out during a set might and opportunity to do something different.
Mm. And I do understand what you're saying. It's a more kind of like poppy side of pop punk, whereas "Please Don't Cry, You Have Swag." I feel like that song live is going to be a legendary experience. Seeing that like towards that end when it just explodes. I can imagine the crowd going insane with that.
Right. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that.
Now, obviously, I do have to talk about featuring Mark Hoppus. First of all, hysterical title, but also it's really, really gaining stats on Spotify as well, and like Apple Music and iTunes. Tell me a little bit about that song, writing song for that process.
Yeah. So that one actually started as an acoustic demo that our singer Tade sent me. It was just the first verse and what is now the chorus, and it was kind of like a picked out slow thing. And when he sent it to me, I really liked the melody and parts of the chord progression. So when we got to the studio to record the EP, like we knew that we had that one in the back pocket, and I just had a really specific idea for the intro of the song based on his melody and some of the chords he sent. So um, I don't know. As soon as we started playing it, like as a band, it just came in a matter of like minutes.
And I feel like those songs are always, again, as you can see, the most successful ones where it's just like it's so natural and fluid. You're not working a million times over on that one chord progression. It just comes out.
Right.
And now, again, that does segue into the next question I had. Obviously, I'm sure you get asked about this a lot, but I just absolutely I'm dying to get your insight. Your song titles are amazing, and I know, like from a fan, yes, but just like from like again featuring Mark Hoppus, that is objectively hysterical. Even like songs like Green Squirrel in Pretty Bad Shape is just it's so much fun. West Default Can't Find Madison Falcon. They're so obscure, but also fit the song so well. If you could just like lead me into an insight of naming a song on a Hot Mulligan album.
Um, it's just from real life, man. You know, art imitates life. Um, no, they're normally just like random things that are said or heard, and at this point, it's just like if we hear something that sticks, we know it's a song title, and we throw it into like a notes document or something. Um, we started doing it because when we were like jamming in the band's earliest form, we didn't know what to name the song, so we like would just type with our eyes closed and let autocorrect do its thing. Um, and then we put out our first EP, and we thought we were like gonna break up, and that was it. That we just wanted to like record our songs, um, and it just never went away. We just why change?
Exactly, and especially at a point now where you guys are, where the band like means so much to so many people, and the songs are just it's a staple. It's just a staple of the song titles are a staple of the set of the albums. Fans look forward to it.
Right? Yeah, I feel like if we were to take it seriously now, we would just get called sellouts or something.
Yeah. And it is also part of the fun of, this, your songwriting. The songs have very dark, sad lyrical content. They're very emotional and genuine, but the titles are fun and the beats are fun and the instrumentation is a good time?
Right? Yeah.
Now, again, diving into the songwriting process just overall, I'm sure it's got to be difficult to balance what parts you or Tades sing. When you're writing a track, are you like, okay, this is going to be a Tades part? Oh no, I definitely want to sing this part of it.
It's really different track by track. Sometimes we'll write something and then realize it has to be split up between two singers because there's just not time to get breath in. Um, Sometimes Tage will write a part and say, I think you'd sound better singing this line, and vice versa. Um, yeah, I don't know. It kind of just comes naturally when we decide who sings what.
Yeah, yeah, and like I think that balance is a really cool thing about Hot Mulligan, where your voices do complement each other very well.
Yeah.
Diving into more song specific questions, again, I do have to ask this. The ending of You'll Be Fine has a song formerly known as the intro. Was that originally the intro to the album, or was it just like, did you name it that, as we've talked about, like a fun name?
It was supposed to be. So like when we were just jamming the album and figuring things out, we called that song intro because it seemed like maybe it was going to be the introduction to the album, and then it was not, and it didn't fit anywhere else besides in the end.
Mm. And I think that, like, again, it is a perfect album closer. But yeah, I definitely had that question. It's super cool to know that it was the way to start the record out. But I do think OG Blue Sky is another, like, that opening guitar riff is a perfect way to open the record.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun way to open it, especially with the drum fill right beforehand as well.
So I got one more question for you today. Thank you again so much for joining with me, talking with me today. Under the Stars, we play Hot Mulligan all the time. We love you guys. The listeners love you guys. So we're super excited to be doing this interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My last question is, will there be an album 3 in sight? I know you just released this EP, but like, have you guys already started ideas for the next record yet?
We've talked about we've talked about it. Um, yeah, we're thinking about it. We obviously don't want to slow down, and there's still like a lot of time between now and our next tour, and not much to do in between for us, anyways. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start writing it, but we won't be putting out any new songs before the tour.
Gotcha, gotcha. And that's definitely a good thing. Gives fans to like catch up and see the last two releases live as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to put out 30 songs and try to play catch up.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Well, again, for all of our New Jersey, New York listeners, they will be coming to New York on December 10th, and a second date just added at December 6th. I know I'll be seeing you guys on that December 10th date, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. See you there. Thanks for having me on here.